Guys, how you guys doing? In today's video, we will be reacting to the Comeback Kids video on the biggest tragedy, the rise and fall of Diablo 4. I've seen a lot of people cover this video, and I want to cover it myself and give my initial thoughts. So let's get into it.
2023, Diablo 4 officially launched, and it was an instant home run success. Twitch was booming, the concurrent player base peaked at almost
when it came out, like 7 million players. That's insane, but it was booming. I was so excited when the game got announced.
7 million players, long queue times, and celebrities partook in the ride. Everybody thought this was the game they were going to call home for a while. Now, there are as little as 400 people watching Diablo 4 on Twitch.
I would like to know, with metrics to the game, would they get all the data for the game? I would love to know how accurate the data actually is.
Players are forced to complete world bosses and events completely on their own, and player population dropped by over 99%.
Okay, yeah, see, this is what I wanted to talk about. 99%, I want to know actually, where are they getting these numbers from? Because Blizzard doesn't announce numbers for their games anymore. Even with World of Warcraft, we don't have an estimate of how many people in player count, in any of their games, how many people there actually are. I guess with Overwatch 2 being the worst reviewed game on Steam, you can pull numbers from Steam, yeah, but from actual Blizzard, there's no way.
The economy between Eternal and Seasonal Realms have been destroyed by rampant bugs. Season 1 content was an absolute disaster, and Season 2 looks to be the exact same. How did this happen?
I think that is the big issue. It's just they promised so much and they didn't deliver on what was promised.
Where did this once beloved franchise go wrong? And what will it take to fix it? Today I'm going to explore the timeline of Diablo 4 from pre-release to what the game is now. Grab a cup of coffee and settle in, because this is the complete timeline of how Diablo 4 became the biggest disappointment in gaming history.
That is
of course,
when he says it that way, it's just it sounds so sad, because Diablo is a franchise that we all enjoy, and it's sad.
A big thank you to the YouTube subscription members who keep this dream alive by directly supporting the channel. We truly couldn't do it without you, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later. Now, ever since the late 90s, Blizzard Entertainment has been a staple in the gaming world, making some of the most popular and beloved gaming franchises of all time. The Warcraft trilogy, StarCraft, Diablo, Hearthstone, Overwatch, and their most popular, the World of Warcraft.
Yeah, dude, all the early games from the Diablo 2, Diablo 3, all games before the new games now, it's just they were so much more better.
The Diablo franchise in particular was a real heavy hitter. It embodied the true heart and soul of what the company stood for at the time. An incredible RPG gaming experience that is a mix of fantasy and dark gothic horror that many people across the world just couldn't put down.
See, I didn't play Diablo 1 as much because when the game came out, at that point, I was I wasn't even I was born before it, but I wasn't I couldn't play it. I never touched it. I know I played Diablo 2 when I was a little bit older, and I played Diablo 2 because my uncle, he played Diablo 2, and they got me into gaming. So Diablo 2 is great.
Diablo 2 released in the year 2000 and had a profound impact on the gaming world and revolutionized the ARPG genre. The social aspect alone fostered a sense of community among players, paving the way for future online multiplayer games. And if you didn't want to play online, you didn't have to.
Yeah, you could
play
locally.
The game left a permanent mark on the gaming world by introducing multiplayer features, innovative gameplay mechanics, expansion packs, and DLCs that influenced countless titles that followed it. This iconic game remains relevant even 2 decades after its initial release, leaving people hooked to this day. By the time Diablo 3 went into production, a whole new development team was in place, and in many eyes, this time period was the beginning.
I think that's where most companies go wrong, is the fact that they have an old team, and then eventually the old team just goes away, and then there's a new team, and they just don't see the same vision that the old team did.
Beginning of the end for Blizzard Entertainment. With the game finally launching on May 15th, 2012, the infamous Error 37 plagued the internet, leaving countless players in limbo on launch day.
This is a message to the people who work for Blizzard. Can't even play the fucking game! This is bullshit! This is bullshit! I pay money, cash money, dollars money, cash money!
The auction house doing more harm than good.
I didn't experience this when Diablo 3 came out, like the real money auction house. I didn't experience it, but from what I heard, it was really bad.
It gave you the opportunity as a player to spend hundreds of dollars of your hard-earned real-life money on items in the game. And this benefited Blizzard greatly because they took a $1 cut on every...
Wow, $1 cut from every piece of equipment, weapons, and armor successfully sold? That is insane, because how many people played Diablo 3? I think they made a killing off the real money auction house.
Successful auction. And with the game's insane levels of progressive difficulty, it meant that if you wanted to progress in the game effectively, the perfect gear was just in wallet's reach for nearly 2...
Yeah, so you could like fully deck out your gear and everything by just, you know, gearing out in the real money auction house. You could just gear to full and just do greater rifts, I guess, and stuff.
Years until it was finally removed. It took many years of innovation to bring Diablo 3 to where it is today. DLCs, seasons being implemented, greater rifts, and non-stop updates for nearly 10 years. A game with a disastrous launch and some fundamental problems with its core design has grown into one of Blizzard's most long-lasting and beloved games that is currently being played and viewed as much as Diablo 4.
That is a big difference. Guys, that is a huge difference. Like, look at that. Like, no one almost is watching Diablo 4. That's crazy.
That is currently being played and viewed as much as Diablo 4. Now, with 3 games in the franchise under its belt, Blizzard was looking to announce Diablo 4 at BlizzCon. But with the horrific Diablo Immortal announcement at BlizzCon 2018...
Oh, this was horrible.
Android and iOS. We don't have any plans at the moment
this was
to
bad.
do PC.
And then they actually did put it on PC. Like, they did.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
This
Trying
was
to
so
build excitement
embarrassing.
for yet another Blizzard game is something that seems very grim in today's world. The once king of kings in game development has fallen very far from what they once were.
Yeah,
They're
like,
hoping their heavy-hitter franchise like Diablo can once again spark life into the cold, bitter shell Blizzard is today. It all started with a grand announcement at BlizzCon, building hype and excitement amongst the
people were
fans.
booming when this happened. People were super excited. That is so
Easily
cool.
being one of their greatest cinematics to date, the Diablo 4 announcement trailer left fans excited and happy to see
I
Blizzard.
mean, when you watch the trailer, like, it was so dark again, like how Diablo 2 now. Like, Diablo 3 wasn't that dark. I would say, like, Diablo 2 was semi, like, it was okay, but, like, Diablo 1 and 2 were dark, and then they brought that aspect back. That's why some people were so, like, you know, happy about it.
Attempt to return to their truly dark and gothic roots of Diablo 2. Once the announcement trailer dropped, Blizzard was officially on the clock from the fans. And then, disaster struck.
More than 1,500 Activision Blizzard employees are calling for the resignation of the company's CEO, Bobby Kotick.
Bobby Kotick is an evil man. He is evil.
That Kotick had known about things, and he also had threatened to have an assistant killed at one point.
The company began to truly unravel midway through the development in 2021, with a major lawsuit against Activision Blizzard being filed for a near 2-year running investigation into the company from the state of California. Between the sexual allegations, unfair and unethical treatment toward women in the workplace, and more dark, evil secrets being surfaced, hundreds of employees at Blizzard walk out to protest against this frat boy culture and even more quit or step down from the company.
But it was frat boy culture. It was awful. I felt bad for the women and people working there. Like, it was bad.
Leaving everything in disarray. And Diablo 4 was no exception to this. The ongoing sexual harassment lawsuit took a major toll on Blizzard, and the company bled high-quality developers and talent rapidly. In Blizzard's earning report for investors, they clearly stated that it has become apparent that some of the Blizzard content planned for the next year will benefit from more development time to reach its full potential. They also said they need extra time to complete production and continue growing their creative resources to support the titles after launch. Though not stated explicitly, the wording in the report implies that neither Overwatch 2 or Diablo 4 will launch before 2023.
I remember that.
So with no other option, Diablo 4 was officially delayed. For a while during this,
but most companies nowadays, if they don't have their like the amount of time that they actually like the deadline that they said they don't meet it, it will be postponed for sure.
This time, Blizzard did what they do best: feed and prey off the nostalgia of previous games from their fans.
Because like the previous versions of a game is way better than the new ones, like to some people, and like people like nostalgic stuff. I like nostalgic games, like even like older games that I used to play back then. I still play them like to this day if I feel like it.
Nostalgia of the great times this company once had. They went down the line and re-released titles of all their beloved games. Classic World of Warcraft, which led to what is now the re-release of the Wrath of the Lich King. Warcraft Reforged, which was a convoluted disaster.
Oh, it was bad.
And finally, Diablo 2 Resurrected. They knew that by releasing these games, it would make them hundreds of millions of dollars and give them more time to try and develop something new that the fans would come to love once again. But time and time after, they fail to follow through with that promise and always come up short. With the new day and age of Blizzard's monetization, where they squeeze everything they can take, it finally took its toll. Classic era of World of Warcraft having expansion pack passes, character boosts, and now a new WoW token across expansions where you can literally buy gold with real-life money.
Yeah.
Overwatch 2 being a copy of Overwatch 1 with egregious monetization and broken promises of new content and story that never came to life.
Yeah, the PvE was mostly that was promised for. I covered that in one, like when people asked me about the Overwatch 2 controversy. Like they promised a lot and they didn't deliver on it.
Warcraft Reforged being a reskin with even more broken promises. At this point in time, it seems as if the company continues to make the wrong decisions based on greed and simply takes advantage of its player base across every game they've ever developed.
I wouldn't even blame people if not a lot of people go to BlizzCon this year. Imagine that, guys. Imagine like no one actually goes to BlizzCon, or it's just an empty shell of this whole arena is just like doesn't have maybe 100 or 200 people, not as much as there is here now.
We had no choice. The only thing we can do now is hope that Diablo 4 doesn't follow this sad and beat down pattern. And for many others, including myself, this would be Blizzard's last chance at repairing what is a betrayed and broken relationship between us and what used to be a magical company.
So stop holding out hope that Blizzard is going to come back. Everyone who founded Blizzard, all the principles that Blizzard was founded on, are dead. They've been desecrated. Let Blizzard go. That's my main message.
I feel like the same way that he does, because you put time and time again and trust into this game, or like even like they make the only reason why I still play Wrath now, like a Wrath Classic and stuff, is because I really enjoy Wrath. Wrath is my favorite expansion. Like MOP and Wrath are my two favorites. Like, and I want to play them. When Wrath Classic is done, guys, we will see where that goes.
Is let Blizzard go. Appreciate what was created back when it was done. Stop holding out hope that it's gonna come back, because it's not.
Hope is all that remains.
That is the only word that people is just like hope.
In August of 2022, Blizzard announced their Diablo 4 alpha playtest, running for friends and family of Blizzard employees. Jason Schreier, a Bloomberg reporter, states on Twitter, "A bunch of people are playing an early build of Diablo 4 right now thanks to a friends and family alpha test. These players are under NDA, but I'm hearing mostly positive buzz." Schreier also noted that there are no microtransactions in the alpha build, so players won't have much of an idea what to expect from monetization. Although...
Well, yeah, that people were worried about that because when Diablo Immortal came out, it was paid to win. It was through and through fucking pay to win. And then, that's why people were, scared that Diablo 4 would be the same as Diablo Immortal, so because of how greedy they are, it would be pay to win as well. But then people just said that it was for cosmetics only.
Blizzard has previously confirmed that small Diablo 4 purchases will be cosmetic only, aside from larger story expansions. Months later, the Diablo 4 endgame beta invites go out in October of 2022, and the playtest officially...
I played only the open betas, but again, I remember with the betas, you can only play up to level 20.
Begins. The playtest itself gave lucky testers a chance to go up against Lilith in the post-campaign Sanctuary and test out Diablo 4's endgame modes and instances. This included the Whispers of the Dead system, the progressively challenging Nightmare dungeons, region-wide Hell Tides, the Fields of Hatred PvP, and the Paragon board progression system. This was the only endgame test they hosted before launch, with enough time to make changes.
Well,
and this
the
is going
thing is, like, when we initially did that test, I don't know if you guys remember, but initially when we did that test, you can only play up to level 20, but again, like, I felt like that, from what I remember, that wasn't really how we can experience the end game and everything. It says that there was a public end game test, but I only remember playing until level 20. That's all I remember.
Be important and a big conversation topic later. A couple months after that,
I even remember the level 20, like, people said druids were garbage, right? The people were saying druids were, like, awful, and then druids were actually good, like, at endgame.
Massive article comes out on the Washington Post stating that Diablo 4 developers are working overtime to meet the release deadline, and it also includes their own staff, stating there is mismanagement and disturbing script changes that might contribute to delays. It's a process that's been plagued by mismanagement and employees being promised perks for working late evenings and weekends outside of regular work hours, but employees stating they were simply negligible perks, such as a $25...
Oh, wow, a fucking $25, like, gift card, guys. Oh, if you work harder, you get a, like, DoorDash card. Like, come on, man.
DoorDash credit if they worked more than 10 hours a day. They described a mounting sense of dissatisfaction and malice amongst employees as they endured leadership change constantly, and that the Diablo team has been losing talent for over a year as employees look for more competitive wages and better work conditions.
Oh, of course. Like, of course they would, like, go work in another environment. Like, if you find like a better paying job for the same that you do, and they just pay better and, like, you know, they treat you better, then of course, like, people would leave.
Elsewhere, Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick attributed the company's stock price drop to the game delay of Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 rather than the ongoing sexual harassment lawsuit filed against the company in July of 2021. He quotes, "I think what affected the stock price more than the sexual harassment investigation is pushing out the release dates of Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4.
Oh, come on, dude. Like, that's not the only reason why. You cannot just say it because, like, the deadlines for the release dates of the game, like, you guys have, I think the sexual harassment, like, investigation, like, highly had an effect on the stock prices."
His comments frustrated some of the company's developers who felt he was blaming them unfairly.
Yeah, that's the thing. I literally, I think that the sexual harassment, like, you know, allegations on the investigation, of course that, like, fucking has an issue with stock price. Even, like, with any other company, if there's a strike going on, right, or a protest or whatever, their stock prices, like, drop. That is like most common in any, like, company or big company for that matter.
Release dates of Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4. His comments frustrated some of the company's developers who felt he was blaming them unfairly, stating, "We felt very much like he just drove the bus over on top of us. As you could see, the relationship..."
Yeah, you threw them under the bus because, like, again, like, are you a developer, Bobby? Like, no, you're not. You don't know how much time this goes into this. Like, what the fuck?
And chemistry within the company seems to begin crumbling. A person familiar with senior leadership found the performance shares unnecessary and even destructive, arguing that they incentivize leadership to cut corners, compromise, and ship products that are not ready to be released instead of doing what is the best thing for the long-term value.
Yes, so exactly, you rush a product or rush a game, and then again, like, when you rush the game and it releases, like, you know, you just release it like that, like, the game is bad then, and then you lose, like, you know, long-term value on the game. That is the reason why Diablo 4 is so bad right now.
Creation. Employees state they just went to work every day and got angry, either because the tools were slow or they simply did not like the game that much. They also stated that it wasn't just employees that left, it was many with institutional knowledge and decades of experience, leaving brand new employees and developers brought in from elsewhere.
Yeah, like J. Allen Brack left. I remember that we covered it in a video, and like the designer for Overwatch.
Diablo 4's unannounced internal release date went from 2021 to December of 2022, then got pushed back further to April 2023, and then finally June of 2023. A former employee stated, "We're at the point where they're not willing to delay the game anymore. So we all just have to go along and figure out how much we're willing to hurt ourselves to make sure the game gets released in a good enough state."
See, that is the issue. Like, I'm totally fine with companies like delaying a game and working even more on it because like you want a polished game. And again, this is awful.
Help Diablo 4 get over the finish line, Activision Blizzard enlisted industry veterans such as Rod Ferguson. Rod would hold weekly Zoom meetings known as Rodcasts, which during them he would talk about celebrities he's met and movies he enjoys. Employees felt that not much actually came out of these discussions, stating, "To me, he came off as a bit of a clout chaser about where he came from, like Gears of War. We all thought he was going to come in and fix the game. And when nothing happened, that's when you started to see this massive turnover." The Blizzard Entertainment company that was once so dedicated to quality and putting out the best product they possibly can is currently rushing out Diablo 4 in a good enough state, with employees and team members who don't get along, and leaders who are poor at taking care of.
But that's the thing, guys. If you have a hostile environment, or not even a hostile, but like just a toxic environment that you're working at, you cannot work on good faith in a game and make sure that game is great, because like you guys are arguing the whole time and getting mad at each other, and everyone's frustrated that no one is on the same page for the game.
Of their team members. All of this inside of an environment that is polluted with greed and numbers more than anything.
Yes, because all that they do, all that these investors and everyone do is it's just about like how much money they can squeeze out of a game. Like even with the COD series, it is really bad.
With launch just a few months away, Diablo 4 is looking grim. On February 21st, the developers officially released the Inside the World of Sanctuary video, where they had many developers speak upon the art direction, environment, monsters, gameplay innovations, and world building. They made promises and stated they wanted to bring the game back toward Diablo 2.
We wanted to bring Diablo 4 artistically more back towards like Diablo 2, the much darker style.
And they also emphasize non-repetitive gameplay features.
So you never feel like you're always doing the same thing. The pacing is always a little bit different.
On March 1st, they released a video showing the gameplay trailer for the beta early access of Diablo 4.
I remember
announcing that you could.
I remember the open beta was like on my birthday. I just couldn't play that time because like I had my birthday party at that point.
Play the game on March 17th through March 19th if you pre-purchase the $90 Digital Deluxe or $100 Ultimate Edition of the game. The $100 Ultimate Edition gives you the advantage to play up to 4 days early over everyone else, the accelerated seasonal battle pass unlock, mounts, cosmetics, emotes, and even rewards for their other Blizzard games such as World of War.
I got gifted the game by one of my good friends and viewers like Maru. Thank you again, Maru, for gifting the game. But again, like I got this horse and I got to play it early when the game released.
Warcraft, Diablo Immortal, and Diablo 3. By this point, it is very well known that Diablo 4 was going to have a battle pass that was cosmetic only, and a big reward for buying this set of editions was a small boost through the battle pass.
Oh yeah, like a battle pass, like that was not available at launch. I didn't even know
important to note that the battle pass was not available until the launch of Season 1, which didn't come until a month and a half after the game's launch. The early access weekend for Diablo 4 arrived, and the game was in the hands of the public, allowing you to go up to level 25. This week.
Oh, it was 25. I remember it was 20. Like I couldn't even remember. I thought it was like level 20 that it was about. Again, I played one beta where it was up to level 20. You guys can correct me in the comments if I'm confused.
Weekend was only available to players who have pre-ordered the Digital Deluxe Edition, and you could play as the Barbarian, Rogue, or Sorcerer. It only allows you to play through Diablo 4's prologue in one zone, and that is Fractured Peaks. Once again, no endgame testing. At first, the servers were plagued with horrendous queue times and error codes. A simple explanation is that there is a repeating cycle going on where players would sit in a sometimes over hour-long queue, finally get logged into the game to only—
Oh yeah, but like again, like with the beta, like that will happen. Like even like with World of Warcraft's launch, I remember there was like long queues. Like I'm so used to long queues in games that it doesn't bother me anymore.
Then get disconnected and be put back in an even longer queue after about 5 to 10 minutes of playing. This continued through most of the night until Blizzard put out a patch that seemingly fixed the problem. This angered many people because they spent additional money to play that said early access weekend, and it started to raise—
Yeah, but like that makes sense why people are angry, because they paid their hard-earned money for like to get early access and try the game before anyone else does.
Eyebrows in the community. Overall, though, from a gameplay perspective, people were relatively happy with Diablo 4 as a game so far. But of course, there were concerns, and there were a few in particular that stood out to the community. And like a dagger coated in poison, issues that seemingly never went away. Some of these include that there isn't anything in Diablo 4 that's redefining what an ARPG can be. Tedious grinds that you're forced to do and aren't even fun the first time, including Renown, Altars of Lilith, Waypoints, and instead of it being fun—
Yeah, like I think with Diablo 3 it was fine because like you knew what you had to do to get gear and it was actually fun. But like again, they said with Diablo 4 that it's gonna be new innovation, everything, and nothing was actually that much new compared to Diablo 3, just with the Renown now and everything. And I wanted to ask people, like, again, if Renown is the same as what World of Warcraft Shadowlands is Renown, will you just farm it out? Because farming Renown in World of Warcraft Shadowlands was a bitch, and I didn't like it. It was annoying.
Challenges, it was simply a Google search to find the location and run around and collect them all. The UI across the board needed work, being forced to play online and having no offline mode worried player bases about server stability, and it felt like Diablo 4 wasn't created with the same heart as Diablo 1 and 2 were. Little did they know, it only got much worse moving forward. The open beta weekend arrived, allowing everybody openly to play the game, and all 5 classes up to level 25. Immediately, players are noticing the difference in power between the Druid and the Necromancer, and coming to the conclusion that classes like the Barbarian and the Druid lag behind significantly in terms of kill speed, unlike the other classes leveling.
But again, people felt that way, but again, like, Druid was like in its early state up to only level 25. Like from what I heard, Druid wasn't bad at endgame. But again, like Necromancer and like Rogue and those were just probably way better.
The balance was so bad about the Druid that memes were being made and the class was nothing but a laughingstock.
For 17 damage.
Oh, what
a... Oh no.
Players feel as though that the game is missing key features such as the gem tab, skill loadouts, more bank storage.
Oh yeah, even like the storage thing wasn't a big issue. Like I remember like even Quinn like at that time like said that there needs more, like he was making a whole list, I remember, and he said like there needs to be more storage for banks and for your like bag.
Inventory filters, and more quality of life features that are widely seen across gaming. Between the issues with the early access and open beta weekends, players are starting to believe that the game is poorly developed and there is a lot of fine-tuning.
But it was rushed. Like not rushed, but like still like the way they said a good enough state. Like again, I think that's a result of like all these issues
that needs to be done. Other than that, the base game of combat animations and story seemed good enough for now.
Exactly.
After the open beta weekends, the official Diablo team releases the Into the Endgame developer update video, breaking down everything the game has to offer once you reach the end game. And developers made incredibly bold promises that were sadly never delivered upon.
Brand new activities that provide meaningful progression, no matter their playstyle.
There's going to never be an absence of something to do.
Paragon War is a place where we're allowed to have a lot more depth, a lot more customization, many more options as you go. There's over 120 dungeons to play through and find in Diablo 4, and any one of them can become a nightmare dungeon.
We later found out that this was simply not true, being that there was only roughly 20 nightmare dungeons in a rotation at a time, forcing you to do the same ones over and over again. A few days later, the Diablo 4 team announces they are making significant changes to character classes, dungeon design, UI changes, and more. This leaves people very excited that the developers are listening to player feedback and are excited for the future.
Yeah.
Through the last few months before launch, the Diablo 4 developers assure us that they're going back to their roots of Diablo 2.
Well, the initial direction was Diablo 2.
The fantasy of a dark, gothic, medieval world.
Darker and grittier, and Diablo 2 is kind of the inspiration.
We wanted to bring Diablo 4 artistically more back towards like Diablo 2.
Have we heard this story before? Is this something that Blizzard is doing once again to tug on our nostalgia? Is history
but that's what they do. Like, again, I think only reason why Blizzard is thriving right now, like, and why they're doing good is because they're going back to nostalgic roots, because people love nostalgia. That is a big thing.
To repeat itself like it did with Warcraft Reforged, Overwatch, and World of Warcraft Classic. The only thing left to do now is hope what they say is true and await launch day. Before you know it, the internet is absolutely slammed with Diablo 4 marketing.
Yeah, like they were marketing it everywhere. They got like celebrities like Megan Fox, and like, yeah, it was just like, it was promoted like heavily.
Whether it be the KFC collaboration, the non-stop Megan Fox promotions, pre-launch dinner parties with big names in the gaming industry, the Diablo 4 cathedral painting in France, the Halsey Diablo 4 song, and even a launch live-action trailer. They also announced the Diablo 4 hardcore leveling competition, where the first 1,000 users to reach level 100 on hardcore will be eligible to have their battle tag engraved on a physical statue of Lilith on the Blizzard campus.
Oh, I remember this where they said that. Like, I would have loved to do that, but like with fucking load shedding in our country, guys, like there's no way you would reach it. Like, because like our power like goes off like for almost 8 hours a day. It depends on where you are and what schedule you're on.
Blizzard held nothing back in wanting all eyes of the world on Diablo 4, and they knew this launch was going to be a big deal for them. It was either going to make or break the company moving forward, and they were ready to show the world what they had in Diablo 4. At least, that's what we thought. On June 1st of 2023, the early access launch of Diablo 4 finally arrived. It doesn't matter too much how amazing a game is or even how well received it is.
Yeah.
Shareholders, executives, and accountants want to know how well a game is selling.
Yeah, how much return on investment they can get from the game, how much they spent making the game, and how much they can get back. Like, it's crazy. Like, 660 million in revenue, like that is a lot of money.
That in just 5 days, sales of Diablo 4 had surpassed $666 million in revenue, estimating nearly 10 million game copies sold. Not even including the additional microtransactions so heavily apparent inside.
Yeah, so they probably made a good amount of money like in the shop as well.
Game. In corporate eyes, Diablo 4 was booming, and it was nothing short of a monumental success. It became officially Blizzard's fastest selling game of all time.
That is crazy.
Activision Blizzard was back on top, right? Well, that statement couldn't have been more untrue. Shortly after launch, the internet was flooded with reviews about Diablo 4, the early game being relatively good from a gameplay perspective, but quickly dissipated as people headed into the end game.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, Diablo 4 had no innovation and nothing truly creative toward the ARPG genre, and Blizzard simply took no risks. Tree of Whispers are the same thing as bounties from Diablo 3. They kept the same generic gambling systems. Paragon boards are just stolen content from Path of Exile and Vulcan. Nightmare dungeons are just riffs from Diablo 3. The new free choice leveling is the same thing as Diablo 3's adventure mode. Nothing here was brand new or innovative. It was the same reused and recycled content, and fans were simply bored of it within a few weeks' time. The most common mistake we see from games with lack of endgame presence is they make the grind to max level longer, so it gives them time to come up with something new. And what did Blizzard do? Exactly just that. One by one, they were going across the board and nerfing
like
dungeon.
I remember this, like people were saying that they were nerfing like experience, and you couldn't, like I remember in Diablo 3 you could power level your friends to join you at endgame. Now in Diablo 4 you couldn't even do that.
Farms to permit anyone from leveling too quickly from specific dungeons. And when that wasn't enough, they completely nerfed elite mob density across the board.
That is
one of the most fun aspects of the game.
That sucks.
Instead of buffing the lackluster dungeons that were boring and slow, they nerfed the fun ones. They continued to do this with nearly everything in the game moving forward. Build diversity was the same result. Across all classes, you could see a clear-cut pattern in people using the same exact builds over and over again. Instead of buffing weak abilities to bring them in line with the strong ones, they simply nerfed the abilities that were performing too well, making everything feel boring. And with the price of recost and the non-existence of skill loadouts or a dual specialization system in play, it was too risky to constantly be testing out and theory crafting new builds.
Yeah,
it was too tedious
expensive
to respec hundreds of Paragon points manually one by one, and flat out too expensive. Having to grind out countless legendary aspects, uniques, and perfect affix rolls on every piece of gear was something that took too much time. By this time, players were reaching level 65 plus, and the level pacing drastically slowed down, and so did the excitement of good loot rewards as well.
So the problem with Diablo 4 is that after you spend about 80 hours into the game, all of the gear upgrades that you can get are so minimal, there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So the time it took to level vastly increased, and the rewards and purpose for leveling became so much smaller. It's very obvious to everybody.
there was no reason to play to level 70, even to level 100. There was no reason to go higher because it was just so boring and bland, and it wasn't worth it.
Now that Diablo 4 has no endgame, and it was heavily front-loaded. The minor endgame testing, mixed with the constant changing of development teams and major lack of inexperience and workplace professionalism, was finally starting to take
everything that I said this, work environment, if you're in a positive work environment, it is good because then you have a clear mind, you can work on a game, and you can be creative. But when it's a toxic environment with the frat boy culture and people being forced to work longer on a game and they're tired and everything, it shows in your work. It does.
Its toll. During this time, the in-game cash shop is being flooded with skins and cosmetic options available for purchase, even some cases where the cosmetic armor bought with real money would be bugged and not even appear on your character. The hardcore player-based drama is at an all-time high, with players dying constantly to server instability, disconnects, and things being completely out of their control through bugs and poor optimization of the game. Even worse, to confirm your place as a winner in the race, you had to tweet the Diablo Twitter account a Diablo 4 hashtag, your full battle net and battle tag, and lastly, a picture proving you reached level 100.
Why?
The amateur middle school system of...
Why? Why do you have to... They can, pull the stats and, see, they can even, if people did it on stream, they can go look at people who actually reached it. What?
Confirming a challenge so important that hundreds of thousands of people are participating in ends up being a massive mistake, and they make errors announcing the wrong winners. This showed a major lack of effort and care in a multi-billion-dollar company, and once again, amateur or brand new developers making huge mistakes. Skating by and doing things just good enough once again. There were even several websites out there that tracked the progress of the hardcore characters with having zero budget. So surely Blizzard could have done this.
That's what I'm saying. They can track these stuff. It's not that hard. There's a ton of people that make sites like MMO Champion and stuff like that, and sites that even there's website for WoW when you can look at the arena ladder, because WoW, Blizzard's arena ladder was dog shit at the time, and there wasn't even an arena ladder on the official for Wrath Classic. You have to go look it up on another website.
It became too difficult to manage storage inside of a full loot ARPG game. Between gems, legendaries, and aspects, rare items, uniques, inventory was quickly flooded within minutes of grinding out a single dungeon, and players demanded more room for their other characters. When Blizzard finally responded over a month later, they stated they couldn't add more because it creates a lot of memory overhead. When you see another player in game, you load them and their entire...
Well, then upgrade the servers, Blizzard. You guys made $666 million in revenue. Just fucking upgrade the servers. Do something. You guys are you guys have the money to do it. I don't understand why that is so hard.
Stash filled with all of their items. Things like a gem tab, leaderboard, stash tabs, loot filters, ability loadouts, all announced to be added in future expansions, sometimes
in future expansions, guys, so they can sell you that expansion and probably not deliver on that until you pay again like 60 euros or $60 or 70 euros like for a brand new DLC or whatever, and then it's just awful still, and they didn't deliver on it.
As far as 6 months to a year from now. 1 month after the game launches, they hosted a developer live stream bringing us all some crucial updates to try and calm the community down. To kick off the show, they gave us a 30-minute segment on their new Diablo Immortal class, the Blood Knight, and the whole lore behind the mobile game right now. They also finally showed off the Battle Pass monetization and the seasonal blessings that are implemented to help us quickly gain crafting materials, gold, and experience points more efficiently. This is in regard to having us create whole new characters inside of seasonal realms.
The thing is, like, people don't want to create characters all the time. Like, if they progress on one character, let's say a Necro or whatever, that is your main character. You don't want to, like, swap the whole time.
Believe it or not, those completely backfired as well. When you spent Smoldering Ash to increase the amount of gold or materials that you would gain, there was a bug that would increase the amount of costs of everything as well by the same exact percentages.
8 million gold.
So it became nothing but an illusion of choice. And to even acquire all of your Smoldering Ash, you actually had to obtain max level to acquire them all.
That is ridiculous. So people can't even like get the farm like these materials and stuff without being level 100. That is so stupid, man.
A system that is nothing but broken and contradictory. Only half of your renown carried over, and half of the brand new content and class changes in Season 1 was locked to the seasonal realms and was forbidden on the eternal realms. Meaning that if you wanted
you want crossover, man. Like, what are you guys doing, Blizzard?
All of these brand new changes and updates, you had to start all over and create a whole new character. You were then forced to go onto seasonal realms, and players were quickly flooded with additional monetization. They even coincidentally made the paid accelerated battle pass button the largest icon and glow red on the homepage. They also coincidentally didn't add a confirmation button so that if you accidentally clicked it, you spent your money without any warning.
What? That is okay. That you have to be able to refund that. That is ridiculous.
Bugs even went rampant through Season 1, with people having the ability to trade hundreds of millions of gold, legendaries, and even unique items between the Eternal and Seasonal realms, completely destroying hard-earned player progression. By this point, players were at their limit. Metacritic scores plummeted, and the population slowly dwindled down to nothing within a week of Season 1 being launched. And with the final nail in the coffin, Larian Studios released Baldur's Gate 3 on August 3rd of 2023. Easily being the frontrunner for the Game of the Year, it knocked Diablo 4 out. The game had longer replayability, no egregious monetization, good developers, better RPG aspects, innovative design with stable servers and a real character creator, and gameplay sections with freedom of choice throughout your entire playthrough. Most of these things Blizzard used to take pride in, but those days are now over. A game that just a few months ago had a population of almost 7 million concurrent active players at once has now lost more than 99% of its total population.
I still want to know how accurate that player count is. Like, I don't know where they get those statistics, but again, like the Twitch statistics you can get, but I don't know where they get the like player count, because Blizzard doesn't release their player counts for the games anymore.
Shrinking more and more by the day. So what was the exact cause of Diablo 4's failure? Was it the constant change in development teams before launch day? The loss of key figures within the company due to the allegations and walkouts? Developers disliking the game they're creating and the increased malice between leaders and company team members? Was it the constant delays, the microtransactions being forced onto players? Or is it just the simple fact that Blizzard has completely lost its touch and the era of this once King of Kings is now over? No one really knows exactly. But one thing is for sure. No game in history has had almost 7 million concurrent active players at one time, and within a couple months, get reduced down to less than 40,000 active players throughout the entire game.
That is crazy.
A 99.4% loss in player base count. This is why Diablo 4 is the biggest disappointment in recent gaming history. Hopefully heading into 2024, they can bring loads of improvements into the game and maybe flip the script on this whole situation. Maybe, just maybe, we can have a solid ARPG to play. But just remember, the new Path of Exile is on its way, and it could very well be too late. Have you played Diablo 4? What are your thoughts and feelings? What do you think is the biggest mistake they made? Let me know in the comment section below. I want to give another massive thank you to our YouTube channel members who support the channel directly and keep this dream alive. You all allow me to create longer, more fulfilling content for you like this one. I really love making content like this, and if you guys enjoyed it, please be sure to like, leave a comment, or even share the video, as I would love to bring you all more content like this in the future.
Go give them a sub, guys.
Until the very end, my name is Sky from the Comeback Kids, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.
That was it, guys. Yeah, look, I generally think that, unfortunately, like, this is the world we live in where games are rushed. I will see if Blizzard can bring back Diablo 4, but with Path of Exile 2 right around the corner, I think most people would just maybe still play Baldur's Gate 3 because it has a ton of replayability, and then now, like, Path of Exile 2, like, I think people will only play that. Like, we'll see what Blizzard does, guys, but I don't think they can turn this around. Like, they made their money's worth out of the game. Like, $666 million. That is a lot of money. But again, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. And tell me in your comments below what you guys think of the video. Again, go give the Comeback Kids a sub. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.